So welcome to this session. Here we're going to have our Pathway graduate student advisor give us information about the matriculation process. So take it away, Mav.
All right, thank you so much, Lori. So my name is Mav Khan. I'm your academic advisor for Graduate Pathways. In terms of matriculation, there's a couple of requirements that you have. So there's a minimum GPA requirement. So B or better in all your classes. Sometimes your professor might say you have the option of getting an NC or incomplete in a class or be able to withdraw from a class, but they may not realize that you are into Mason Pathways students. So that option is only available to graduate students who have been fully officially accepted into the program. So that option is not available for you all. You also need letters of recommendation, which for this semester are due on December 3rd. Sometimes when you request a letter of recommendation, and to clarify, it's not a letter that they write, there's a specific form which your professors will provide you. You just fill out the top part and let your professor fill out the bottom. So when you request this, they might say that they can't turn it in by December 3rd. They have to wait until final grades are posted, and that is completely fine. You just have to communicate that with me, your advisor, so I know that that's why you're missing letters of recommendation. Statement of purpose is the other part of matriculation requirement. You should be working on that in your class, and that's going to get attached to your portfolio. So your portfolio link will be sent to me directly by your professor, so you don't have to worry about that, okay? Hopefully you will meet all of these requirements and everything will be fine and you get admitted into degree seeking status. Yay, everything is perfect, right? However, life happens. Sometimes that's not how things go. And so if there is a hiccup and you're super close, but you don't quite meet the requirements, I would still do the exact same thing I do for students that are matriculating. I would still put together your packet, all your letters of recommendation, your portfolio, your statement of purpose, things like that. And I would send it to the department and ask them for exception to policy. What that means is policy says you should have all A's and B's. However, the student has a B minus, but look, everything else is perfect. Could you please make an exception? Now that can go either way. Sometimes they will make an exception and they will accept the student, and other times they will say no, they have to repeat the course or try again next semester, okay? For students who have multiple things that they're not meeting, so it could be that you have a one non-passing grade. So you're like, you get an F, okay? It's not like you got a B minus. There's a huge difference between that, right? Or you're missing recommendation forms. Any of those sort of things happen, you would be something called an extender. So that means you didn't matriculate, but we will give you another chance and let you stay here one additional semester to try to make up for everything that you missed, okay? During the time that you are an extender, you will continue to be an into Mason student. You're not accepted into degree seeking status, and you would pay the extension tuition fee. The tuition fee is different every semester. I believe it's closer to 22,000 something for next semester. So just check with finance to see what it is. That does cover 9 credits though. So if it's just one course that you're repeating, you would only have to pay for 3 credits and the finance will prorate that for you. Okay. Extenders continue to remain in pathway. They do not progress to degree seeking status. They may take the course that they didn't do well in to retake it and raise the grade. You may also be offered additional language development courses. So it could be that your EAP and your professors let us know that, you know, the reason the student didn't make it is because they had language issues and they could really use extra support. And so those may be offered. Additionally, you may be able to take additional development departmental courses. So we can ask department for permission that while you're still at INTU, can you take in 1 or 2 more courses towards your degree so you're not wasting too much time, okay? You don't have to retake anything that you've already taken and passed. So if you've taken INYO and you got an A in it, you won't have to repeat that. In terms of the departmental courses, the major courses, only 12 credits can transfer to Mason. So I've had students that come in and say, can I take 3 major courses? And they already have taken 2 major courses. that's not possible because A, that's too many courses for you to do in a semester and it's going to be a burden. And B, you can only transfer up to 12 credits from non-degree seeking status, which you students are right now, to degree seeking, which you hopefully will be next semester. Okay, so it doesn't make sense to take a course that you won't get credit for. For students who don't meet multiple requirements, so it could be you got 2 Fs, C and an F, things like that. So that's 2 things that you're missing. You could be terminated from the pathway program, okay? If you think that you will be in that category of possibly being terminated, reach out to me as close to finals as possible so that we can prepare, okay? It's not the end of the world if that happens. There are options, okay? So I don't want you to freak out right away and think like this is it, okay? There's more to it. So if you get a letter that says you are being terminated, there is something called an appeals process. It will be explained when you get the letter, but you will have a little bit of time, about a week, to respond to that, to say that you want to appeal and get another chance, okay? Appeal can't be like, oh, graduate classes are too hard, right? Okay, appeal means that you just had something in life happened. Maybe you got COVID, maybe your father was sick, maybe you had a baby, something like that, some extenuating circumstances that didn't that caused you to not finish your program or do as well as you could have, right? Option number 2 is for you to change pathways. So it could be the pathway that you chose. So for example, accounting, right? You chose accounting and you did fine in EAP and INYO, but the 2 accounting classes that you took, the 2 major courses, you failed both of them because you found out around midterms that accounting is just not right for you, right? You can apply for different pathways. So you can come to me and say, Ms. Khan, I would like to apply for data analytics, or I would like to apply for computer science. And we can go through that process to changing your pathway and applying. You still have to go through the enrollment process and figure out if you qualify for the specific pathway, but that is possible. Or you can always pursue education elsewhere, right? There's so many other, there's lots of other universities in Virginia, Maryland, DC, or even, if you want to go to California or Florida, some other state, that you can pursue your education elsewhere, okay? Keep in mind, colleges do consider students' credentials holistically when they make a decision. So that means they look at everything: grades, statement of purpose, recommendation forms, portfolios, all of those things, okay? So it's not just one thing that they look at. So that means that your portfolio is very important as well. Your statement of purpose is really important. It shouldn't be filled with grammar mistakes and things like that. When you ask for recommendation letters, you should go to a professor whose class you're doing really well in so they can give you a glowing recommendation, right? So they look at everything holistically, all right? The biggest question that I get asked in this process is timeline. When am I gonna know? When am I gonna know? When am I gonna know? Trust me, as soon as I know, I will tell you, okay? So matriculation process actually already started. So we start like close to midterms, we start putting your stuff together. But once final grades are posted, that's when like the bulk of the work happens. So your job is to just get me those recommendation forms, create your portfolio, do your statement of purpose, and then leave everything to me, okay? Once I have the final grades and everything is put together, I send it to the department. The department can take 2 to 3 weeks to get back to us, okay? And for me, it takes about 2 weeks to put together everyone's packets because I'm just one person and there's lots of students, right? So it can take about 2 weeks for me to put everything together and send it to the department. Then the department has about 2 to 3 weeks to review all the students and get back to us. And then we have to tell you, right? So all of this process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks because keep in mind, we also have Christmas break and New Year's and things like that. So as soon as I know, I will tell you, all right? So just be patient through this process and that's all you can do is wait, all right? Now, Mr. Graham, Ms. Miller, do you have any questions?
I have a question. Can you hear me and see me or
Yes.
or whatever?
Yes.
I have been wondering, and this is my student voice, I have been wondering who I should get my recommendations from. Is it okay to get one from my transition class professor. He thinks that's a little bit, that's got some conflict of interest in there, but what kind of people should I be getting my recommendations from?
So that's a very, very good question, Mr. Graham. So keep in mind, it's a form, not officially a letter. So we always get asked, do they need to write a letter, right? So you need to get your form, fill out the top part with your information. And personally, I would ask my major professors first. Okay, that is my recommendation. Always ask, because they're the ones reviewing your portfolio, right? They're the ones reviewing everything. So ask them first. Then your next step, if you don't have enough, let's say you require 3 recommendation forms, but you only have 1 or 2 major professors that you can get it from, your next step should be your EAP professor. Okay. And then you can also, if all else fails, you can also ask your INYO professor, but I would start with your major professors.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You cannot go to your professors back in your home country or anything. We want it from the major professors. That's who the department wants to hear from.
Okay.
Your
Got it. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Good question.
Yeah, and so related to that, so that form, I think I get it from my INYO professor. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So somehow, so I get that form, and then do I just email the form to my major, like my accounting professor, or do I print it out? What do I do?
Absolutely. So it is a fillable form. So you fill out the top part, and then when you email it out, it's a request. Okay. This is not a requirement for professors to do this for you. So you never want to email them and say, here, Professor Robert, fill this out for me. No. It's a request. So you say, hi, Professor Graham. I'm a graduate pathway student that would like to matriculate into Mason. And part of the process is for me to get recommendation forms done. Would you be so kind to fill out a recommendation form for me? The due date is blah, blah, blah. Okay. I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and they always have the option to decline and say no. So there's a couple reasons professors might decline. If a professor thinks you're not doing well in a class and they don't have anything positive to say, they might say, no, I cannot write you a recommendation. I can't fill this out for you. And in that case, you should be very happy, because you don't want somebody to write poor recommendations for you, right? They might also say that, I really don't know you that well. You've been to class like, hardly ever. I don't really know your work. I don't feel comfortable filling this out. So maybe they're just busy. And we always have, for example, like data analytics classes, right? There's so many students that are in there that are into students. And so they might have 30 into students, and they don't have time to write 30 recommendation forms. So they might just say, I've already said yes to the 10 students who were the first 10 to ask me. So now I don't have time to do it. That's fine too. Then you just move on to the next professor.
That's a really good point, to ask early, right? Make that request early. Yeah,
absolutely. At least give them, my recommendation is give them at least 3 weeks. Personally, when they have to write a letter, I give them a month. This is the good thing for you guys is it's a form, not a specific letter that they have to write out. So it's a form with like boxes and they have to check off. So it's a little bit faster to do than, writing out a whole letter, but still, get it started early.
right. Yeah. I was a little bit nervous about when you were talking about the extender stuff. Like, I know what my grades are right now, and I think I'll be okay, but I guess I just have to wait till the end of the semester. Is that it?
Yes. Yeah, that is very true. So if you are super, super close, right? I always put in the request, and I always try to put in that appeal to say, could you make an exception to policy, and ask the department if they can. However, in the 3 years I've been here, I still can't look at a file and say, yes, you will get accepted, or no, they won't grant this, because it's really case by case. It really depends on the semester. It depends on whole lots of other things. Okay. And so we try, we hope, we try our best, right? That's why you want to do the best you can in all your classes and have the best, recommendation forms, have the best personal statements, and then you put it in. And then if they come back and they say, no, the student has to be an extender, then we go from there and we just figure that out. Okay. It's not the end of the world. We always, we'll work with you and try to help you save time. You will be staying, an extra semester, and you have to pay the extra, the into Mason tuition fee. And, it might be like it's extending your time here in the US a little bit, but just look at the big picture, that when you're done, you'll have a Mason degree and have a master's degree, right?
But it sounds like it's really important for me to work on this portfolio thing. Like, even if I'm not sure, I should just work on it because there's a chance at least.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You always want to put in your best effort and turn in everything that you can, because it could happen that, towards the end, you actually end up, maybe getting a B- instead of a C for a class that you expected a C and expected that you wouldn't finish, so just keep trying really, really hard until finals.
Okay. That's it for me with questions. Do you have any other questions?
I think I feel pretty good. I guess generally I'm a little bit unsure about what makes for a good digital portfolio, but I'm not sure if that's a question you can just kind of answer. Do you have just like a general strategy or something?
The best, so in the 3 years I've been here and reviewing, 3 different stacks of portfolios every year. So that's about 9 to 10 stacks of portfolios I've reviewed. I love seeing portfolios that tell a story, right? They should be very personal. They should be telling you why you're interested in the specific major. Pictures are always good. Stories are good. Why should they choose you? So keep in mind, if they have 2 students, right? If they have a Robert and a Lori, and they're both at the brink, and they have one person they can give an exception to, why should they pick you over this other person? And so tell them the story of why you're passionate about this degree. What do you plan to accomplish with it? What are you going to do in the future with it? Is there a professor that you really want to work with when you're there? Is there research that you want to pursue for your thesis? Things like that. So tell a story, tell them why because they're going to be reviewing. You're not just the only one. When I say, I'm sitting here putting together 40 to 50 packets in 10, 15, 20 different majors and sending it to, they're also sitting there reviewing all the N2 students, all the direct admit students from in-state, all the direct admit international students, right? So they're reviewing lots of applications. So why should they pick you? Okay.
Got it. Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
all right. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, you can always email me or schedule an appointment with me through WC Online.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.